Hello and welcome to another episode of Bits and Bytes Live, where we at VMware look at stories of the day through the lens of the communication service provider. And today we're going to look at a couple of things. First of all, we're going to review and recap some of the announcements that we made last week as part of MWC in the Americas. And to do that, I'm joined again by Stephen Spellicy, our VP of Marketing. Hi, Stephen. Welcome back. And we're also going to then talk about a new announcement, which should be very interesting to customers looking to really get involved in exploring some of the new technologies that Stephen will no doubt talk about. And for that, I'm joined by Ajay Simha. Welcome, Ajay. Ajay is the director within the Office of the CTO here at VMware.
Thanks. Happy to be here.
Great to have you both here, and looking forward to running through some interesting topics here. So let's start with you, Stephen, if we could. Sure. Can you give us a little bit of a recap, maybe a potted sort of summary of some of the announcements we made last week as part of our attendance at MWC?
Sure thing. Well, we had a great week last week in Las Vegas, made several announcements, and we really touched point on every part of our telco cloud platform portfolio. There were some new enhancements specifically around upgrade and manageability related to the telco cloud platform. We now have the ability to upgrade our control plane and our worker nodes separately. This helps with management, the management of cluster failures and such. Really improving how operators and technicians can do a more graceful upgrade and management of their cluster infrastructure, especially as telcos move more towards cloud native infrastructure and start to run cloud native functions. We also introduced some great security enhancements, specifically an intrusion detection and prevention system feature set that protects east-west traffic. This is, from an interior network design perspective, as NFs and other key workloads are running inside the telco cloud. It's important that security, not only on the outside looking in, but also on the inside looking out, so that east-west security between workloads is a new feature set. And then we had a blurb on really advancing our ecosystem related to our certification and validation of both virtual network functions as well as cloud native functions. And specifically in the press release, we talk about Mavenir's Converged Packet Core as a new workload that's across the board, all of their functions, cloud native, running on TCP. So on the telco cloud platform, so the core infrastructure experience and some of the automation capabilities, those are some of the announcements. We also talked a little bit about telco cloud service automation and, telco cloud service assurance, apologies. On service assurance products specifically, we had some new use cases around mobile assurance. This included also our container as a service assurance, support for 5G and 4G mobile cores, network slicing, and RAN assurance. So in other words, across the stack, end to end, the ability to use telco cloud service assurance to understand and observe the behaviors of those components, provide metrics, reporting, monitoring, and insight in order to solve problems, as well as integration into closed loop actions to be able to remediate any issues that do occur. With respect to referenceability in this particular release, we also mentioned that Dish Wireless is currently trialing our telco cloud service assurance. They're using that today in a trial mode in order to monitor their distributed cloud infrastructure and collect the kind of metrics I just mentioned associated with the logging and the performance of the systems, the availability of the systems. They're using that to provide more actionable insight so they can do exactly what I mentioned, which is facilitate closed loop automation and provisioning and ongoing management. And then finally, rounding out the portfolio enhancements, our Telco Cloud platform RAN, we introduced some new capabilities around increased performance, operational ability, and scale to help accelerate the adoption, deployment, and time to launch the product for our operator customers who are seeking to deploy our platform to address RAN use cases. On the performance, operability, and scale side, we've made a number of advancements in our core product around our ESXi stack, specifically to meet and exceed in many cases the performance and manageability of what you would get in a bare metal environment. So now we have the equivalent latency and performance and flexibility of bare metal infrastructure with all the agility that VMware has to bear, as well as the inherent intrinsic security benefits that are inherent to virtualization platforms. The big news on this particular area, though, was around the introduction of a new feature set around bare metal automation. And this gives our customers the ability to automate bare metal provisioning. Our CSP customers can simply provide a bare metal experience, light it up with zero-touch provisioning, and then ongoing life cycle management from the bare metal stack all the way through the hypervisor, our Tanzu infrastructure, and our telco cloud infrastructure and network function provisioning and ongoing management. If you have this capability and you're using our platform, this will rein in the time to deploy, it'll rein in the time for ongoing lifecycle management, and it'll improve the overall agility, especially in the RAN infrastructure where we're talking about thousands to tens of thousands to potentially hundreds of thousands of sites where you need to have that zero-touch provisioning, lights out management. Otherwise, you'd want to avoid truck rolls and things like that. This technology is going to meet those particular needs. So that's, in a nutshell, Nigel, what we announced last week. Lots of great enhancements across the portfolio as we continue to add value to the telco industry around our platform and our core features.
That's a phenomenally comprehensive set of capabilities, isn't it? I'm reminded of when people talked about this new thing called NFV. And that seems an awful long time ago now. As you say, moving it from virtual to cloud native, moving it from the core to the RAN, overlaying the automation, which, as you say, if we don't have the automation, actually a lot of these technologies are not even possible in a realistic sense.
Right.
And then the assurance and all that closed loop feedback, so you can start playing with things like quality of service and efficiencies and power. And phenomenal. As I say, come a long way.
We talk to we work with, and we really kind of get our feedback from some of the largest customers in the world who have exactly the kinds of infrastructure that you mentioned, which are very large scale core implementations, as well as into the tens to hundreds of thousands of RAN sites in order to support their regional and in some cases global networks. So it is an exciting opportunity to bring these feature sets to market.
Absolutely, very, very cool technology. Which brings me across to you, AJ. And I didn't give you a full title when we opened up because I didn't want to give away the announcement and the news. But all of that technology that Stephen's gone through, it's kind of an opportunity and a challenge in a way, isn't it? Because to absorb that and to deploy it and to be a customer of that technology, that can be quite a heavy lift. And I know one of the things we've been focusing on, and you in particular have been focusing on, is building a capability for customers to get involved and understand some of this technology in a way that is, which is, I wouldn't say simpler because it's never simple, but something that can accelerate their progress. So to give you a full title, you're actually Director of VMware Telco Labs within the CTO office. Which is a fairly clear giveaway as to what we want to talk about next and what's new in terms of our customer support capabilities at VMware. So please tell us, what is VMware Telco Labs? Let's start with just keeping it simple. Why would a customer care? What's the value to our customers of the Telco Labs that you've built?
Yeah, thank you, Nigel. So customers, our CSP customers today have three major challenges, right? One is they always use proof of concepts or POCs before they take anything to production. But they take a very long time, a lot of investment of time and money, and the outcome can take months. right? How can they experience this, quickly and easily? That's the first way to help them. Second one is around innovation. VMware is constantly innovating, introducing new products, putting out new releases. How can the customer experience this and then provide feedback so that we can improve our products and solutions? Third one is around actually co-development of solutions. So the Cebu CTO team has got a really smart set of engineers who they can leverage for some, to co-develop solutions. How can they do that? So this platform provides the opportunity for customers to directly engage with us for these.
Okay, so it's about sort of the time involved in absorbing these technologies, the innovation and trying to speed up and understand the innovation potential, and also that kind of expertise and ability to explore.
Collaborate. The third one is around collaboration. Yeah.
Okay. So if a customer were to be using this facility, what exactly does it offer? What can it provide to a customer?
The Telco Labs has got we have we call them demo labs, but basically they're live environments which represent use cases that the telco would have in their own environment, in a day-to-day environment, which they would probably kind of realize through POCs. So this one is already done for them. So these labs can be demo labs, can be scheduled. And when the schedule is, whenever you have scheduled it, let's say you schedule it for next Monday, the lab will be ready for use with both, virtual part as well as the physical part ready for them to use. And it also represents things like new products and, which they will be able to experience there.
So you're saying ready to use. That sounds like a simple thing to say. It doesn't sound, I suspect it's not as simple to do. So there must be quite a lot of technology involved in managing the environment.
Yeah, that's pretty much what me and my team live and breathe. So first of all, to be more to elaborate this, right? The telco solutions involve what we refer to as telco grade hardware. So the telco grade hardware is used as well as the latest products and solutions from VMware to address those use cases.
And actually, that's a key point. You're mentioning hardware, because this is a physical lab, right? We're not talking of an emulation here. We're talking about a physical infrastructure. So can you tell us a little bit about what makes this different from other labs? What is it that makes it a telco lab when it comes to the infrastructure?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So it's while concepts we can visualize concepts in a virtual environment, and we have other tools to do that. Our CSP customers would like to experience this on hardware, which is referred to as telco grade, which means that they may have like certain number of CPU cores, they may need NUMA nodes, they may have certain types of NIC cards, which allow the high throughput. Lastly, the accelerators, such as the Intel FlexRAN solution, requires hardware accelerators. All of those are represented in the Telco Labs. But of course, each lab has got a virtual component where tools such as TCSA or TCA is installed, and then we have the physical component where it's like you can think of it as a unit under test, where we would run this.
Cool. So Stephen, let me ask you a question on this. So from your perspective, how do you see having this facility that AJ has developed and released? How do you see that impacting what the wider VMware team is doing in terms of customer support?
Well, personally, I mean, I'm involved. I as a part of my responsibility, we have business development underneath my remit. So one of the things that we do quite often is engage in very small, medium to large scale POCs and pilots. I think part of that experimentation phase is just understanding the platform and the feature sets. And I think we can reduce the time to evaluate and get customers feeling more comfortable with the technology by using Telco Labs. And then as they bring that into their environment, they can actually take advantage of some of the learnings from Telco Labs as they implement and scale that in a more production sort of oriented POC. And this will also give customers the ability to kick the tires on new feature sets without any risk or cost associated with the hardware. So they can go in, take a peek, they can run some basic, evaluation and tests and look at and maybe run through a series of steps to evaluate a feature or a set of features, and then come back with a feeling of confidence that they can then do this in their own environment, which is, I think, something that telco really needs, is an understanding and a greater level of confidence as they deploy some of these critical workloads in their networks, whether it be the core or the RAN or the edge. And this Telco Labs enables customers to be able to experiment and gain more confidence. And I think that in general, it's just an exciting addition to our capabilities.
Absolutely. And Ajay, I get that sort of reminds me, because this is not just about demonstrating product. This is about bringing in ecosystem players, about trying new things, right? So your lab, it's not a sort of fixed environment in that sense. Customers can start to experiment, can start to innovate and test things.
Absolutely. So there are several examples of that in the Telco Labs, where we have got like a RAN vendor represented. So the lab itself is located at Wenatchee Data Center, and it's accessible directly from the internet, and we control that. So we would allow partners, vendors and customers also to have access to the lab. Mostly the vendors and partners, so that they can build the solution, and then customers would have access to the portal to access the solution. So just to kind of build on what Stephen was saying, we have customers who would like to see the TCSA capabilities, but it's not just installing the product will not allow them to see the capabilities, right? You need a data set. So we have the data set also represented in the Telco Lab. We have a customer demo coming up end of the month for a major carrier in Asia, where they will show them how the power of TCS and how it can help them.
Excellent. So I guess, so I think, yeah, just to go back to the beginning, this is a new announcement, but this facility is available today, yes? So people can access this today?
Yes.
Okay, and if people are out there, they want to access it, the easiest thing to do at the moment is probably to reach out to Ajay on LinkedIn, if you're okay with that, Ajay, or any of us on the call here, and we can direct it accordingly. But yeah, please reach out, get involved, and we can
absolutely
introduce this, be it partners, be it communication service providers that are interested in what this capability is. And I think we'll also there's a couple of references actually, just to let folks know. One is that all of that information that Stephen went through, which is very well done, I thought, with that volume of announcements. All of that, if you wanted to get a summary of the announcement, the link is actually put in the comments, so you can look at the actual press release, and that will kind of take you through what Stephen was talking about, and probably a little bit more as well. And then, of course, we've got our telco web page, is telco.vmware.com, which is another good source of information. And I don't believe it's there yet, but we will be putting up a link so that you can connect with Ajay and the team on the Telco Labs and get some more information. So that's not there yet, but we will be putting that up on telco.vmware.com. But in the meantime, if anybody's interested in the Telco Labs, please just reach out on LinkedIn, and we'll make sure we connect you with the right people to get involved. Excellent. That was, I'd say, a great initiative. As I say, I keep thinking of I think it was 2012 when the first white paper came out on NFV, and it looked a bit different, and it's kind of grown into something quite massive. And I don't know how much you touched on it earlier, Stephen, but the programmability aspect of this, it really is starting to evolve into something quite special. So hopefully people will reach out and get involved. With that, I think we're probably about on time. As I say, we keep these conversations short. They're intended to be roughly the length of a cup of coffee. So hopefully we've achieved that. So just from me, again, thank you, Stephen, as ever, for coming back and talking to us. And Ajay, great to hear about the initiative. Good luck with the Telco Labs. Looking forward to seeing how that develops. And I think actually on the plug for the next session of Bits and Bytes Live, Stephen mentioned some of that performance capability that we talked about in the release. We're expecting on the next Bits and Bytes Live to actually go into that in a bit more detail with the team that was involved in doing some of that performance benchmarking and so on. So that's something to look out for in the next session. But for now, thank you, everybody. And thanks, guys, again for taking part. Thanks.
Thank you.